Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see here on our channel, our website, or our social media. Reach out to me directly, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. Today, we are discussing a multifaceted launch from Baselworld 2014, 40.5 millimeters in stainless steel. This is the Patek Philippe Nautilus travel time chronograph, the 5990 1A-001, a watch that gives you everything you could want in that 40.5 millimeter steel case. If you look in profile, it's thinner than you expect at 12.8 millimeters. It's only half a millimeter thicker than a standard 5980. The watch is 45.4 millimeters from lug to lug, but you can see there's a little bit of rigid flare. You can't completely press the bracelet inboard, so that rigid flare projects outward from side to side to a more substantial 50.9 millimeters, which makes this watch still eminently wearable on a broad range of wrists. I have seen the watch wear well on a 13.5 centimeter circumference oval wrist, but in general, I would say 14 centimeters circumference. Of course, my wrist, 16 centimeters in circumference and oval in profile. Wears the watch well, it's comfortable, it has a sloped side, it's not altogether that thick, and it will fit underneath any dress cuff. Now, taking a quick look at the hardware, part of what you get when you buy a Nautilus, especially compared to an Aquanaut, is a higher level of hand finishing and more hand finishing, and nowhere is that more evident than in the bracelet. The 1976 Nautilus by Gerald Genta featured his integrated case bezel bracelet look, and that continues on the 5990. Note the accuracy of the beveling as it continues perfectly aligned across the case flank and down the links. Satin finished in profile, satin finished primaries, polished intermediates. Of course, Patek Philippe prefers to use pins and sleeves for sizing its bracelets, which means if you want to size at home, you will need a block and a punch, but then you can get to sizing. The clasp itself features a double deployant action, and you can see it is a sequential closure with ceramic spring-loaded pin snaps internally, so its tolerance, its sharpness will never decay or diminish over time, as the steel cannot aggress against the ceramic pin snap. We have a clamshell with the calatrava cross to lock it all closed so it is secure for your active lifestyle. Rolling around to the case flank, part of the brilliance of the Nautilus chronograph and the travel time chronograph is the integration of the traditional Nautilus shape with complications. You have nicely integrated chronograph pushers on the 3 o'clock side, and then on the 9 o'clock side, we have almost perfectly hidden triggers for the travel time system. So I'm able to, if I wish, cover up that second time zone on the dial and then quickly jump my local time as I travel hour by hour around the globe. And of course, I can drive the date forward or backwards as I cross that international date line. You can see how I'm able to drive the date in both directions. It's a nicely balanced dial in that I can cover up that second time zone if I don't want it. I have not just a away AM/PM. Remember, most watches will give you the AM/PM for the time where you are not, if they're dual time watches. Here you have AM/PM for local and home times. You also have a balance from side to side and top to bottom, a cruciform symmetry that's handsome. And note, this watch features a 60-minute chronograph register, not a 30-minute chronograph register, and that is a true advantage that few chronographs include. Now, let me wind this watch up because unfortunately I didn't prepare it to operate, but I will mention that in terms of power reserve, this watch, when fully wound, has a power reserve of 45 to 55 hours, which is solidly more than Patek's standard of about 35 to 45. Now, the movement inside is, of course, Patek's first ever automatic winding chronograph caliber, but we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. You can see the watch features a vertical clutch, so the engagement of the seconds hand is always smooth. Also, because of the vertical clutch, you can leave the chronograph running, and that's no small measure. As you'll note, the watch does not feature running seconds on the dial side, so the flexibility to keep your chrono running so you can have your hours, your minutes, and seconds on the dial and just ignore the minutes register, that's a big deal. And though the watch doesn't feature a traditional hacking mechanism, if you are using the chronograph seconds hand as your constant seconds, the fact that this is a flyback chronograph means you can immediately zero reset the seconds hand once you've set the watch. We have a gradient fade from sort of light silver gray at centered almost black at the edge, white gold hands, and white gold indices that will never oxidize. Now, the chronograph caliber, I mentioned this, was the first automatic in-house Patek Philippe chronograph caliber when it debuted on the Nautilus chronograph in the 5960. The 28520 is a large movement designed for modern display case backs. You've got that 45 to 55 hour power reserve, pivots on 34 joules, 6-position adjustment with an anti-magnetic silicone hairspring, and a free-sprung Patek Philippe Gyromax style balance. Along with the Patek Philippe seal, these features mean the watch is guaranteed to run no worse than -3 + 2 seconds per day. You've got the column wheel for crisp chronograph operation and the vertical clutch for smooth engagement and, again, safe continuous running if you want to leave the chrono running. Unidirectional winding of the rotor that is more efficient than bidirectional, and ceramic rotor bearings which are more efficient than steel. The movement is protected down to 120 meters, and as you can see, all of the standards of fine Swiss finish present and correct. Côte de Genève, perlage, satination, black polish, and anglage. Nothing has been overlooked. Beating away at 4 hertz, this is the full package. Everything you could want in a sports watch, maybe everything you could want in a watch. Email tmosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And we're back by night with the Nautilus Travel Time Chronograph. Plenty of Lume.